I really enjoy wheat pasting. It's like a really fun activity. There's a nice sort of instant gratification element of it all. There's a lot of prep, which is sort of tedious, like getting the prints made and picking them up from the printers and then trimming everything out. Putting them up hard is the most fun part. And there's always like different challenges to different surfaces. So I've made so many of them now, it's like thousands of them. Because some of them have a rough life and they get damaged by the weather or get tagged and things like that. So there's always this process of like maintenance and repair, and I do a lot of that too. And putting up the print is part of it, but photographing it after it's been put up is actually like, that's my takeaway artwork that I'm like leaving the public work, but then I'm taking a photo of it. And then whenever I cross its path again, I re-photograph it. I was born in Vaison-la-Romaine, which is in the south of France. And I was born there and I lived there till I was 7. And then we moved here to Evergreen, Colorado, which is up in the mountains outside of Denver. Went to school here and then instantly wanted to leave the state as soon as possible and went to school first in New England at Hampshire College and then in New York City at the New School where I studied filmmaking and art. When I lived in New York was sort of the heyday of just the early 80s of the graffiti, like when the whole city was covered with graffiti. Like you all see pictures of the subway trains, of the outsides of the subway trains, but the insides were completely covered with tags and graffiti. But I was out there when Keith Haring and Basquiat and like all those guys were first blowing up. And that's when I did my first outdoor art pieces, was around that time as well. Kind of the biggest influence has been my step-grandfather's artwork. His name was Koko Bayer. He was originally Austrian and was a student and a teacher at the Bauhaus. The work that I do now, this series that I call Temporary Structures, is basically a collaboration between his work and myself. I'm taking it as a basis, but then taking that through my color sensibilities and the process of wanting to make things that work in the street. And initially, I kind of just wanted to see which pieces of his work resonated the most with people in this time. His most iconic image is the one called The Lonely Metropolitan. It was a photo montage that he made in the 1930s in Berlin. That was sort of a reaction to all the craziness that was going on, and also him feeling lonely and oppressed in a city type environment. So that was one of them that I chose. The hand with the eye is probably the image that I paste the most. I call it head plus heart plus hand. It's based on some work that he did when he was first a student at the Bauhaus. He was super influenced by the painter Kandinsky, who was one of his teachers at the Bauhaus and his mentor. One of Kandinsky's things was this idea of head, heart, and hand depicting the artistic process. So head, signified by the eye, is like where the idea for the piece is formed, and then heart is where the artist adds themselves, whatever, it's your soul or yourself, whatever you want to call it. And then hand is the artist's actual like draftsmanship and craftsmanship to actually make the work of art. So that image signifies the artistic process. The current pasting project that I've been doing since COVID started is Project Spread Hope. The heart is actually the heart shape out of the hand is sort of the starting place for it. And then it uses the same pink lemonade color combo that I used on the hand as well. And then the word hope, and then I have a Spanish language one too that says Esperanza. Super gratifying project. I definitely feel much more connected to his work, and I feel that I know him as an artist at least, and also through the documentary process know more about his life than I did before I started, for sure.